I used to go to the Islander games whenever the Rangers played and the Philadelphia Phillies played. I used to get tickets to go to the Islanders.
And there was a fist fight every time because those Rangers fans are animals.
No, they're not.
Animals. They're
One of the things I
animals.
remember the most was I was sitting right by the face-off circle, and Bobby Clark was taking a face-off from I forgot who it was on the Islanders, and blood is just pouring out of his nose at the face-off.
It's probably pot, man.
That was a real face-off, actually.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah, I grew up in Baldwin, which is like 10 minutes away from Nassau Coliseum.
Do you want some soup or some hot noodles?
I lived in East Meadow. I was 5 minutes from Nassau
Coliseum.
My
God, really? Nice.
T-minus 1 minute and count.
I'll take some soup, Michelle.
Is it from Ratner's, the soup? Is it from Ratner's with an onion roll and a Dr. Brown's black cherry?
Best onion rolls in the world, right?
Yeah.
Just remember,
when I worked in
it's the muzzling.
When I worked on Wall Street, they used to have a Ratner's truck that used to pull out in front of our place every Friday. I'd get the matzo ball soup, onion roll, Dr. Brown's black cherry for $3.
That was 1947. Jerry.
No, that was the year you were born, Brett.
I went to school with the Ratners. They lived in Brookville or in Westbury, so they went to Jericho.
What's happening, Michael?
Hey,
everyone. Long time no see. Welcome,
Eileen, did you go to Jericho?
Yeah.
Mr. Chad. All right, folks. It is now 12:05. We've got 26 folks on board here.
27. To make that 28, Brett.
All right. See, I'm
impressed. Yeah. All right, Brett, time to mute all the yentas.
We're all here for you.
That's my job.
We are.
I'm number one yenta.
All right.
Right, Dr. Billy?
Unmute. All right, you're unmuted. Folks, it is now 12:05. Please place your seatbelts on, tray tables up, and get ready for takeoff. I'd like to welcome you all to our 9 millionth Leo meeting, sitting at home nice and safe on a computer.
Right.
Hey, I went out for Easter, finally, saw family. I got out. I felt like Neil Armstrong walking on the moon last weekend. It was.
Then he got sick.
Well, not sick yet, so hope it's. But I've had both vaccines. I'm good.
There you go.
So, but I welcome you all. We have some new members on. One new and one hopefully member who's an awesome person. I brought along today a new friend of mine, Mr. Matt Sweetwood. He found me through a Facebook lead needing homeowners from Facebook page needing homeowners insurance. In conversation with the gentleman, I realized just how interesting he really is and the likes and hobbies we both have. So we started talking. I'm like, wait a minute, this guy would be awesome for our group. He's a professional speaker. So I'm going to give you the real deal, not what I found out about him, because I know a little bit. I'm going to learn just as much as you folks are about Matt. So Matt Sweetwood is the CEO and co-founder of Insurance, the insurance platform that protects your most valued gear and equipment, camera. He's also an international known professional speaker, author, consultant, and coach. With over 30 years of entrepreneurial experience, Matt has credited with the reinvention of the modern camera store, which is incredible. I love to see that. However, his greatest achievement is having raised 5 successful children to adulthood as a single dad. He's also a frequent national TV and publication contributor and has a #1 best-selling book, Leader of the Pack, How a Single Dad of 5 led his kids, his business, and himself from disaster to success. I give you folks Mr. Matt Sweetwood, the myth, the legend, and the one and only. Matt, it is all yours, my friend.
After all of that, wow, I don't know if I'm ready to follow all of that up. So it's really a pleasure to be speaking to you all today because, normally when you get to talk, I'll give you a little background. I don't always get to speak to what I consider peers. You're always in sort of these demographics, these verticals, you go talk, but this is really awesome. It's a really great experience for me, just to let you know, to be here. So thanks again, Brett, for having me, because to be able to speak to people, who live in your area and kind of have similar experiences also makes for a challenge, because a lot of you are probably way smarter than me and way more successful than me. But what I'm going to try to do today is take a little bit of my own life story and transition it or put it in a place where maybe I can give you a few lessons that I had in my life that helped me through some difficult times. So with that, let me share my screen here, and we'll make sure everybody can see it. And then we're going to go from there. Okay. Hold on.
And Matt, once you're done with your presentation,
yeah,
each one of the folks going to present who they are and what they do, so you'll get to meet them as well. So
yeah, that would be really great. You did a pretty good job, though, in the intro there. I was taking notes as we went in there. You may have gotten some business from them as we go. Okay. So first of all, let me just make sure I'm working. Can everybody see, if you can't see the screen, let me know and we'll make adjustments. I got a lot of thumbs up there. Okay, we're ready. So who expected the last year or so to go like this? It was a worldwide pandemic, right? Still going on, unprecedented disruptions. And most importantly, for many of us entrepreneurs, we had shutdown. We had downturn in business. I mean, I'm sure some of you, did okay through the pandemic, but I'll bet that in your personal lives, it was all very difficult. I mean, I'm saying things we all know. I know it was very painful. In my personal case, I haven't really seen my kids in person in almost a year now because of the way circumstances has gone. So pain is something that I've experienced a bit in my life. And so the story I'm going to tell you today starts with pain. Really, it was an internal pain, a pain that kind of woke me up every day for years, putting my feet on the floor each day and feeling dread. And every day that dread was there. I was feeling going into the bathroom, looking in the mirror and seeing this blonde, that was me, by the way, if you didn't get it, right? Blonde hair, little kid right there. Blonde hair disappearing. I was over 300 pounds overweight, on a 5'10", by the way, and getting heavier day by day. I was a guy in my 30s, but when you looked from the outside, you saw this pretty blonde, smart wife, and I had 5 adorable little kids. By the way, I can do this in this group. I am Jewish, and my wife was Jewish, but she decided this year that we were going to do that kind of thing. So this is a full disclosure kind of thing. I don't know. I find it funny when I sort of show that. I lived in a big fancy house in the suburbs. And for those of you from the Northeast, that house was in Short Hills on an acre of land. So, pretty cool, pretty expensive house. At the same time, I was running a company with 100 employees. Actually, we had about 120 in that picture. And this was a photographic distribution company. And you can't really see it, but actually I opened a retail store in this building too, because I know, Brett, you're a photographer, so I figured I'd give you some relevance there. But this business and that family, it was really a facade. It was kind of like smoke and mirrors. In that business, the photography industry was being massively disrupted by digital technology, Amazon, and the internet. And inside my home, there was anything but love, happiness, or contentment. My wife, who, and I'm going back, 20 plus years now, was an attractive woman on the outside, but she was really troubled and confused on the inside. And for me, I'm just like some poor schmuck coming home in New Jersey every day from work, working my ass off for creating a business that's having all sorts of challenges, always seem to be on the edge of going bust. We always seemed about 30 days away from no cash flow and about 30 days away from not making payroll. And if you want to know pressure, when you got 120 people working for you, I'm sure some of you have big companies, and you don't know if you're going to make payroll, life's not very pleasant. So imagine I got a wife on the edge, a business on the edge. I got 100 plus lives at work, depending on my decisions, 5 little kids at home, counting on me to bring home the dough and somehow try to make everybody happy. Now, I can remember the day that my wife, the mother of those 5 kids, just walked out on us, screaming at the top of her lungs at me and with a look on her face that could melt stone, and telling me, you and your kids are just horrible human beings, and I hope to never see you again, you fat piece of, I won't say, all in front of hysterically crying and scared little kids. Now, I can remember that moment from 25 years ago like it just happened. I sort of stood there paralyzed like a stone. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't speak. The children's crying seemed to blur into the background, and my thoughts went to my dying business. My 5 little children at that time were 18 months old, one still in diapers, through 8 years old who had lost their mom, whose 35-year-old, 300-pound dad with a failing business had no clue what to do. I was sad, afraid, confused, and completely alone. Yep, that was my story. Now that I depressed everybody, what's beautiful about Brett inviting with me today is that I get to speak a little bit and unpack some of what my own personal life lessons and business lessons were that kind of helped me get myself out of that, not just get through some of the most devastating times in my life, but also find pretty big success and get to move to Boca Raton. Now, I'll go back, right? So that's what the kids looked like at that time. Now, I thank God every day, and I venture to say that my kids are all successful adults today, having graduated top colleges. They're financially independent, and that business that almost failed became a $100 million company that I got to successfully exit a few years ago. So when I got to speak to you today, I knew I was going to be speaking to a very sophisticated bunch. I really tried to struggle a little bit and come up with some sort of, let's say, the 3 most important tips that I could share with you today that I think really was helpful for me. So one of the things I read a lot of sort of spiritual stuff, and I get these emails from Aish. It's an organization out of New York, and one of them had this saying, and I read this many years ago, this too shall pass, right? We've heard it, right? It's a meme, right? You've seen it out there. It's a meme. But the reality is that this too shall pass only happens when you make it happen, right? COVID will pass, God willing. Business being shut down will pass. But you'll only come out of it ahead if you want success badly enough, right? I had 5 little kids depending on me, 100 employees depending on me, big bills to pay. And I really wanted my business to succeed badly enough and my kids to succeed, and not end up in prison or on the street someday, to do whatever it took to make it happen. And that meant sometimes working 16 hours a day and 7 days a week. It meant taking that photo business and reinventing it, which I did several times, and figuring out how to be a real parent. Because when my wife walked out, I wasn't much of a parent, and in my case, that was like first getting them to brush their teeth or do their homework, build their self-esteem, and then get them through high school and then driving tests and into colleges, 5 times. So if you want this painful period to pass, if you're struggling personally or you're struggling in your business, then you have to ask yourself, this is kind of like the tough part, is how badly do you want it? And that actually has become my personal motto is just how badly do you want it? So really my words to you are, you can make anything happen. If your business is not where it is, your personal life, you can make it happen if you want it badly enough. Okay. So if you want to make sales, you want to increase your business, do anything and everything you can ethically and legally to make it happen. Okay. My second tip is to be proactive. You anticipate when things are going to go and act. Try to, at any rate. I think one of the biggest mistakes that people make in troubled times is they kind of freeze and don't do anything. And I think COVID was a really good example of that, where you're unsure and you kind of don't know what to do, so you kind of freeze. And so I believe that success in business, and even sometimes in your personal life, is to try to be a little bit aggressive and try to anticipate where things are going. And I'll bet if I ask out there, those of you that have been successful through the COVID period have really been aggressive and proactive in what you're doing. At the time COVID happened, I was the interim CEO for another company called Lux Now. And when I heard it happen, I looked at how my team was happening. And I'm going back to March of last year. And I looked at how we were operating. We were all sitting in an office, and they had just announced here in Florida, they were thinking of shutting things down. It was really a little bit unclear. And I sensed that even though they said they might not close non-essential businesses, I didn't wait. My gut told me they would. And, I just had this feeling, I guess it comes from experience. All you people are experienced. So sometimes you reach down in your gut. So I reacted right away. I moved us out of our facility, canceled our lease, right? And soon after, the mayor, whoever was, shut everything down. But then my staff was 100% set up at home. We made sure the tech was working. We made sure the communications were working. We had weekly meetings. We did these Zoom calls before they were really super, super popular. And we basically set up our company to run from home. Obviously, a lot of companies have done this at this point, over time, but I like to think that we were really first. Now, I didn't really have a crystal ball. I just went with my gut instinct. And to me, being proactive sometimes requires you to think from a different place. I always say there's three places you can think from. One is your head, one is your heart, and one is your gut. And, you're all successful business people, so you think with your head a lot. But sometimes you really have to go with your gut. And once again, if I reach out to this very successful group and I say, what are some of the best decisions? You're going to say, everybody told me to do this, but my gut told me to do that. And that's really an important point, to get in touch with that and use that to be proactive, right? So as entrepreneurs, right, just because there's a disruption in business or there's less business doesn't mean that you shouldn't proactively reach out to your customers or your clients and see if there's any way you can help them, right? Maybe they're shut down or they're out of work, so you don't want to go to them and try to sell them stuff, but maybe just keeping the relationship going. I think, to me, that is a fundamental principle of business, is to reach out to your clients and customers, even when things are not right. For me, if you're not doing that, that's something that I would really recommend every one of you do. Obviously, you can look for businesses that are prospering. So whatever your business is, if you are in one vertical or one area, maybe you look into another area that's actually doing well during these times, or you believe at this point is going to emerge really well out of the COVID situation. And clearly, if it's a business, this is a dove, if it's not ever going to reopen, then obviously don't waste your time or energy going after it. And then something I always say to everybody, and sometimes I have been a little guilty of this, and that's being proactive with your expenses. And for me, I came from, if you know anything about the electronics business, camera business, it's a crazy low margin business. So you're always like an expense hawk. And that's something you can really do to drive a bottom line from the other side, is so be proactive. Try to get ahead of your expenses. Try not to let yourself, fall behind and hope that you'll make it up for it later. So to me, that's a proactive action you can take during these times, aggressive actions. So you're not under, and because you don't want to be under financial stress. And there's nothing worse, as we all know, than having a big bill to pay, a credit card bill, having your spouse or partner, whatever it is, upset with you or disappointed at you, or you getting desperate. And so when you're calling clients, you kind of have that commission or salesy breath when you call them, which really, doesn't do well for anybody's business. So my word to everybody, even at this point, if you haven't really taken a look at your expenses because you've been used to businesses really rolling, I would do that now. Obviously, we know business will, God willing, hopefully turn around soon, but it may not happen for a while. So always keeping that sort of mindset on your expenses, to me, is really a really good one. My final tip for today, and this one is going to be a little bit of a surprise. I love that picture of Rock, by the way. I don't know, it just turns me on a little bit. And this relates to physical conditioning, right? So during COVID time, as a matter of fact, one of the first conversations I had with Brett, we were talking a little bit about this, is that, Brett, you were going to a photography meet, and it was like the first time you had been out or something like that in a while. So during this COVID time, even here in Florida, we're forced to be inside, we're quarantining, which means we're doing more walking and moving around. We eat more, right? We burn less calories. And so what does that really have to do with business or our lives? Okay, the clothes are tight or whatever, we put on a little bit. But I have a fundamental principle. And for me, this one actually, I have a big Twitter following. I tweeted this many, many years ago. It has like the most engagement of any of the sayings that I've ever delivered. And that's, physical conditioning is the foundation for emotional and mental strength. I'll say it again. Physical conditioning is the foundation for emotional and mental strength. So when I go back to when I previously mentioned to you, I was 300 pounds and out of weight. There was no way I was going to find the strength or energy to do all of that, care for those kids, work 16 hours a day, make tough decisions, and deal with stress, right? That was me, by the way, in my unique photo shirt. You don't get to see me. Like usually sometimes I use that slide, I'm standing in person and I look pretty good. That's me with my grandchild. So I did the really hard thing. I lost 100 pounds, got myself in shape, and being in shape gave me back my mojo. It gave me the confidence I needed to be successful. enjoying my grandchild. This is that moment, by the way, when you're speaking to Peter, you get to put a picture of your grandkid out there. It's kind of cool stuff. Okay, I'm going to give you an example of this, right? Because people tend to get a little bit skeptical. Yeah, they know I should be in shape, I should diet, I should eat better, but, my business is still running well, Okay, I'm going to give you a really good example. Since we had this sports conversation, this for you poor Jet fan out there, I'm sorry. The Jets are going to be at the bottom end of this story. I do apologize, but that's kind of the way it is. So you're watching an NFL game on Sunday, right? It's Jets versus Giants. We know they're both not so good, but the game's 10-10. It's middle of the fourth quarter. But the Jets played a tough Thursday game against the Dolphins a week before. So we see the Jets start to tire physically first. But how do we know that? Typically in sports like that, it isn't that they get outplayed, not at first. It's that all of a sudden they take a stupid penalty. They miss a coverage assignment, or they just forget the play call. And the same thing applies in business. You want to be ready for anything, mean and lean and clear thinking when the bad stuff comes to an end. Well, there's no better way to do it to put yourself in good physical health. And I'll say it one more time, because for me, it's been the fundamental of everything. People talk about, I go out and I speak. I'm actually running 2 businesses right now. I take care of my kids. I do all sorts of things out there in the world. And the one way I do that is to be physically strong. I'm seeing 60 pretty close, like right there ahead, I'll be honest with you. And I find that being in physical shape really allows me to do the things in life, to be up, to be energetic, to be clear thinking, to be making the right decisions, and to handle the stress that comes in our life. So I'll say it one more time, physical conditioning is the foundation for emotional and mental strength. Please, I'm asking you as a friend, as somebody, put yourself in good physical shape, and it's going to make a huge difference in your life. Okay, so the good part is that everything I told you today, right, all those 3 nuggets that I gave you, be proactive, wanting things badly enough, as I say here, and putting yourself in good physical condition, you probably knew this stuff already. Okay, it's in there. I'm not giving you, this is not like Moses came down here and gave me something and I'm giving you something you haven't seen before. But I want to emphasize, because sometimes to hear it again is really a good thing. And it's all in your control, right? I didn't tell you anything that is required, that the president has to do or the law has to change. None of it. It's all in your control. You can all go out there and do all of it yourself. So the lesson that I've learned is that when events are crazy and out of your control, you can still make positive things happen. It's within you. Okay. It just comes down to a simple question: how badly you want it. And I emphasize, when I looked at those little kids, their mom walked out and stuff, I wanted them to be successful badly enough. And I'll tell you, I get to brag, right? Because it'll mean something to this group. My kids, they're all really good human beings today. I told you I exited my business. My kids went to top colleges. They went to Northwestern and Columbia and George Washington University and stuff. So they all had really good journeys. And I think it really came down to not me not making mistakes. I made plenty of mistakes along the way. I just wanted success badly enough. So I hope I can sort of motivate you a little bit. Go out there and really just make it happen. Want success, want whatever it is you want in your life badly enough, and you're going to make it happen for yourself. Today, right, because we're all a local group, I have a book. I'll take it off the screen in a sec. And I'm happy to give anybody here a digital copy of my book if you send me your email. Afterwards, Brett can give you my email, or I'll put it up afterwards. I'll send you a digital copy for free of my book. But I just have one thing to ask of you. If you get that, when you read the book, you have to give me a review on Amazon. Review helps the book. So I would really appreciate that. And for those of you that want to get in contact with me, just go to my website. It's msweetwood.com, or you can just follow me anywhere, reach out to me. I love hearing from everybody, and I'm glad to talk. I coach people all the time. So if you need any help or anything like that, please feel free to reach out. And Brett, thanks for having me today. That's really all I got for you guys.
Thank you, Matt. Now, I know you do speak about internet marketing and branding, so maybe someday we could ask of you to bring that presentation to us.
Yeah, I actually, we talked about that, right? Because I have a talk that I've given on, it's really more of a seminar on personal branding, which is really a very, very great topic for entrepreneurs. It's about how to leverage your personal presence, your personal brand to really help your business. Because ultimately, in many cases, or almost all cases, people don't buy from your business, they buy from you, right? And people hear about you. You're more interesting than your business in many cases. So
Most definitely.
thank you again. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Matt. Anybody have any questions for Matt before we do our let me see, unmute. Any questions for Matt? Anybody have any thoughts, questions?
Excellent presentation. I found it to be very inspiring in itself.
Yeah, for those who didn't hear earlier, Matt found me on a Facebook page looking for homeowners insurance. So that's another thing which we know we'll discuss for Facebook marketing, Facebook branding. I think I found myself a friend for life on there. If not, besides a client for life, they found a friend for life there as well.
Yeah, and I think really the thing to add to that is that it was organic. You didn't pay for it. That's really the good part about it, right?
Hey Max, what do you like to do for exercise?
For me, I am a weightlifter. So I have a routine right now where I lift weights very heavy twice a week. I do Pilates. I'm not embarrassed.
Why should you be?
I love it. No, Pilates is awesome.
No, because I grew up with sort of like Pilates. Was it was not for tough guys like me, but I do it virtually, right? I have this great Pilates guy who does these things, who kicks my butt around. I do that twice a week. I play golf twice a week, and I swim. That's my routine. And I do it for the real thing to make it work is it just has to be lifestyle. And what that means is that no matter what, I move my business schedule around to make sure that I actually have time to work out and do what I'm going to do. It was actually really hard for me because the crazy life I went through, it was very hard to set aside time. And so now, for example, like on Thursday, I play golf every Thursday. I just make it happen. So like I have people if Brett had come to me and said to me today, our meeting is on Thursday, can you speak on Thursday? I probably would have said no.
I think that's a really good point. You have to make it like part of your everyday or your weekly, your daily routine. And then it just becomes a natural thing. And it's like you can't not do it.
Yeah, and give it equal importance to other things. That's really the emphasis. And that's why I said, obviously, as a speaker, to be able to, particularly I'm newer in the area here, to be able to speak is very nice. But I would not give up, something like that. I would try to work around it. Maybe, it's at noon. So probably I would give the talk and, you'd see me in my golf outfit and then run off. And that's actually the way I think about things. And if you apply that to your health routine, life gets a lot better. Plus, we want to live longer, right? Nobody's ready to die yet.
Thank you, Matt. Well, I've been working on COVID-20 for the last year, so that's a big.
We're going to get you. I'm going to drag. See, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to show. I'm going to drag you out with me. You're going to come back. Brett's going to be like this. It's going to be sitting there in muscle t-shirts.
That's my fighting weight of 185 pounds in high school. My left leg weighs that today. Matt, I really thank you. Hopefully what you and I'll discuss, maybe a category you want to fit in here somehow. And we do this every other week, same bad time, same bad channel. Hopefully go back to a restaurant eventually in Boca. So, you're always welcome to join us. But you and I will talk about that another time.
Yes.
What I want to do is, if there's no more